Hey everyone, today I'm joined by James Rose. James is the co-founder of Content Snare and has spent years solving one of the biggest bottlenecks that agencies face, getting content and information from clients without endless follow-ups. I wanted to bring James on because every agency has struggled with unresponsive clients, missing information, and these projects that get stuck where you're just waiting for content. He's got practical insights on how to fix these issues and free up time for high value work. In this episode, we discuss why agencies struggle to get content from clients and how to fix it, the systems and processes that make content collection effortless, how to set client expectations upfront to avoid bottlenecks, and more. No one was asking for another community, but I've made one anyways. So what's different? The dynamic agency community is designed around access rather than content. Access to peers who've done it before. Access to experts who've designed solutions. Access to resources that have been battle tested. And right now, the price for founding members is only $97 a year. Join today so your agency has immediate access to everything you need to grow. You can join at dynamicagency.community. And now, James Rose. It's easier than ever to start an agency, but it's only getting harder to stand out and keep it alive. Join me as we explore the strategies agencies are using today to secure a better tomorrow. This is Agency Forward. What are the biggest challenges that agencies face when gathering content or information from clients?
The clients don't respond.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest one. Okay, episode's over, folks. All right.
Yeah. Oh man, it's painful. I've spoken to people about this before we built our product, and the language people would use around this was like so emotional. You know, like on the calmer end, it'd be like, "This is the biggest pain in the ass in our business," right? On the extreme end, it was like, "This made me want to leave the industry." Like that's like how big of a problem it is. It's because, you know, one, it's work for clients. If you want to ask clients to do something, it's just more work, and no one likes doing more work. So I think I guess we'll get into this, but like making it easy for them is so important because they don't want to have to go and do more stuff. So one is just they get busy as well. So like they see your email, like give me this Google Doc full of content or whatever it is, and not everyone's like an amazing inbox zero every day kind of person. Mm-hmm. So if they don't get to that and then it gets buried, they just forgot. Like, don't take it personally. But yeah, then it really just comes down to it being work and it being something that like it's actually a challenge for them too, right? It depends what you're asking them to do. If it's like, talk about your business. What do you do? What are your services? Who do you serve? Blah, blah, blah. Generally, that's pretty easy for people. But if you're asking them to like think and create something, it's a hard task that just gets put off. We all know what this is like. Sometimes you're just not in the mood and you put off hard tasks. So you put all these things together and it can be a nightmare.
Right. Well, there's probably another layer too, where depending on who you're asking for all of this, there's like especially with like B2B, right? There's always this worry that like, well, this engagement gets screwed up, it's on me. Like everyone's going to point their finger at me. And so even there's like a hesitancy to do some of the things you're asking them to do because they're like, well, I really got to make sure what I'm doing is right.
That's interesting. That's a really good point. That, you know, and this is the kind of thing, all of these are like quote unquote fixable, right? It's just like, you make that really clear that it's like, don't worry, like we can edit these, we can change these, like It's not final. Like we even tell people that with Content Snare. It's like when you're creating your templates and stuff in Content Snare, don't think it's going to be perfect the first time it goes out the door. You can edit this later, right? That's a really good fear to squash. Yeah, good one.
Yep. Yeah, I think the way we kind of mitigated some of that my agency was we called it the swoop and poop, which was when a stakeholder would come in who had they had never been in any of the other meetings, and they would just be like, hey, we want to change all of this. And you're like, well, you don't know why we got here and did all of this. And so we'd bring that up like in the sales call that like, we will not stand for this. So like we need the stakeholders who are going to have some decision authority in any piece to be part of each decision. And so it gave whoever we were working with they had that kind of like an out almost, right? Where it's like need to give it to the stakeholders. They have to be present. So now they're all part of the conversation rather than it just being that one person hoping that they're making the right decision. And
when you brought it up in the sales meeting, did you call it the swoop and poop?
Yeah.
Nice.
Sticks in their head real fast.
I think everyone can relate to that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Whenever you can find the right term, will really embed itself there. So I guess, let's get into, so how do you make it easy for them?
Yeah. So like a couple of tips here. I mean, it's irrespective of how you're doing this, whether it's like Google Docs or Forms or Content Snare. I mean, the biggest overarching theme is just like put yourself in your client's shoes. First, the most simple thing is automatic reminders, right? Because you don't want to have to keep reminding clients. One, you probably don't want to. It feels icky to constantly chase up clients, can make you feel like the bad guy. If you've got something that can do the automatic reminders, you can just blame it on that tool or whatever. Are you going to get some emails that remind you because we're going to need the stuff to actually finish the project? So you're going to get some email reminders. So once that's done, like that's the easy bit. The other bit is like put yourself in your client's shoes. The biggest thing to remember is it's the curse of knowledge. Is I think the proper term for it. But it's like when you've been doing something for so long, it's really hard to understand someone who hasn't been. It's just like, how do you not know this like random acronym that I've used 5 times a day in my web design business, right? But that's the thing to remember is clients won't know this stuff. There's terminology like, do they know what a hero header is? I don't know. Like probably not. You probably need to explain that or put that in different terms. So that's like number one is just really thinking about like what your clients do and don't know and trying to like explain away everything that they could misconstrue. That's the easy way. Like everything you're going to ask them to do, it's like, what are the ways they could misconstrue this and how can I like address that now in advance? So when they read the instructions that I want them to fill out this box or provide this file or whatever, like it's all there. Like a funny one is like, some in other industries, if people use Content Snare, there might be people asking for an ID photo or something. And it's like, please make sure it's not blurry. It's so silly. You have to say that. But if you don't, people will do it.
Right. Their thumb covering half the photo.
Yeah. And another piece to this is like visualization. So as a agency owner, you're dealing with, all kinds of campaigns and like designs and stuff all the time. You can picture things a lot faster than most of the population can. And this is like a spectrum. I learned about this the other day. There's like people that are really good at like visualizing stuff. And this is in the physical world too. Like my sister-in-law can visualize. We're trying to design a renovation right now. And she can just be like, oh yeah, like this and this and that and that and that. And I'm like, man, what's going on? Yeah. Right? Like I need to see a 3D render right now. So, there's this range of people that just can't, like, you got to assume that some people can't visualize things. So if you can use some kind of visual effects when you're requesting info, it's like, if it's a website, you could have a wireframe or like a mock-up of what the header might look like. There's a picture on the right. There's a headline here. Like they're not visualizing those things necessarily, or they might be visualizing something completely different. And so, you want to take that ambiguity out now so that when they, it comes back later and they're like, that's not what I had in my head, Right. So that's how they're like the overarching principles of how to make this easy. The tech is kind of the last piece. So, where are they entering this information? Are they like replying to an email in line with a different color? And like, are they having to like, sent a list of dot points, and if they're a nice, conscientious, awesome person, they're going to go new line, change it to red and answer your question. Otherwise, they're just going to start blasting inside that email. Right. Like that sucks. And they've got to try and cross-reference like where the question is and whatever. So if you're going to use Google Docs, that's like the big common one, right, for getting info from clients. Is it easy for them to sort of read through that document? And again, like one thing I used to do that made it so much easier is where I wanted them to type, I just put a 1-by-1 table in. So it's just a box for them to type in, right? Like type here instead of all through the document in different places and whatever. So, just trying to reduce places where they might mess it up. Another one is client portals. So making it easier. A lot of people send people some kind of portal that requires a login. Mm-hmm. For some reason, we all know this, clients are just really bad at remembering passwords and logging into things. All of us in the web space, we're like, yeah, we got one password or whatever. And we just go log in, done, easy.
Right.
Not everybody's like that. It's taken me like 14 years to get my wife to get a password manager. And it was because she lost access to something really critical. And I was like, now, let's do it now. So that's the thing. If they have to log into something, they're not going to do it. They're not logging into some project management system to see your content requests or whatever. They'll hit that password thing and go the window and go, nah, forgot, and they'll leave, and they'll never come back. So that's another thing to make it easy.
Right. So, man, all right, similar situations. Even with the wife not having something for password, we actually had someone steal or get access to our Netflix account, which was through her email and everything. Ooh. And they just changed all of everyone in our family had their own little thing. And they changed all the names of their family. And so right before swapping it back, I changed it to "I will find you" for each of their account names. So when they don't see it, I kept it for 2 days and then I blocked everything and changed the password. But we're good on that front now. But there's a couple things I want to go into. So I don't know what order to hit these in. Let's go random. So I like the idea of focusing their attention, right? So like you brought it up in a couple different ways where like, hey, we're going to do a wireframe to present this stuff. So now you're directing how they're thinking about this rather than letting them come up with some of their own ideas. You're really like directing the steps here. So it's like, we need this specific piece of information and you're kind of setting the framework around it so that they don't get distracted. They can just focus in on that one piece. And even if that is just putting a box so they know where to enter it, it's like you're really forcing them to like hone in on that one piece. And I think that the speed to getting a result is going to increase with that, right? But then also like you're very much limiting confusion and reducing the chance that they get some of those good ideas that often lead to scope creep and stuff. Yeah. It's like, no, just look here. Don't look over there yet, right? Like we got this. But then just the concept of making things easier. It's like everything you just said is probably just great life advice, where it's like the easier you can make a system, the more likely someone is to follow it. Like whether it's a habit for yourself, whether you're doing something with your kids, but like even with your clients, right? The easier you can make it, the more likely they are to just jump in and say, oh yeah, I can just knock that out, right? And once they do the first like 2 or 3 times that you're requesting information and it's super easy, it's a no-brainer for them to just jump in right away, knock it out to get it off their plate. And so I think that's probably is missing with a lot of agencies where it's like they're making it hard unreasonably. And then
there's an old UX quote. I can't remember where it came from, but don't make me think. That's like one of the things with when you're designing a user interface. Yeah, I think it is. I don't know if it was the book first or what, but like a part of me like disagrees with it because I feel like making everything so easy, it's making everyone like, I don't know, these crazy expectations where everything has to be in 5 seconds and like I feel like it's making people dumber almost. But that's another topic. But that is like the principle, man. If you want people to do stuff, it's got to be just as easy as possible. Don't make them think.
Yeah. And there's probably another layer to this, which I work on this with some of the agencies I'm coaching for some of their sales processes. But even within this is probably there where it's like you want to show the complexity, but really like sell the simplicity, right? So like you want it to be easy, but you also want them to know there's a lot going on here. And I am the one who's stopping you from having to deal with that. If you just do this little simple thing, right? I can do everything else. Don't worry about it. And it makes you kind of more irreplaceable by just them knowing that. And so,
yeah. I mean, that kind of kicks back to it depends how you running these campaigns. Like I know some people will request, exact copy from clients, but like if you can get them to talk about things that they know really well, like I was saying before, it's like, who are you, what are your products, who do you serve, blah blah blah, why do they like you, what are some cool things like customers have said about you, and you're turning that into things like that. That's exactly the same thing. It's like there's all this simplicity for them to do, and then you're doing all this complexity to turn that into something that sells.
Yeah. So I guess, why do you think these like content kind of bottlenecks pop up in the first place for agencies? Like, why isn't it just easy for an agency to say, "Give me this"? And I know we got into some of the they have attention. The client has their
Yeah.
attention being pulled in multiple directions, but it's like you would assume that if I ask you for something, you'd just be like, "Oh yeah, here you go," right? But there's something bottlenecking that
Yeah, I don't know. It's
process
same sort of thing. It's just a time, it's just time. You mean from on the client's perspective or the agency
for
perspective?
the agency's perspective. Like, what's creating the bottleneck internally for them to not even address this?
A bit of it is, there might be a reluctance to follow up or a lack of time to follow up, a
Mhm.
lack of time to lay out, like all the stuff we've talked about takes time to set up, right? These are all processes. You have to guide, you have to work out how you're going to create that wireframe or mock-up, how you're going to present that to the client, how are you going to label that to and explain all the different bits and pieces you need from them. It's much easier to just go in and go, I need this, 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 and this, and just list it all out and send that off. And then that
Right.
comes back and bites you later. It is always a time thing that prevents these kind of things being improved. But everyone's so busy, right? It's especially agency owners. My God,
Yeah.
some of the agency owners I've spoken to in the past are some of the busiest in the world. But so is, we work with a lot of accountants as well, and they're the same. The amount of accountants that just have no time left. So, and we're trying to get them to sign up to our product and use it. It's like, no, this is really going to save you time. It really is. Like, we've got a ton of testimonials and like past, clients that have just done amazing work with this, but it takes time. And one of my favorite quotes was this accountant who said, in 4 hours setting up Content Snare, he replicated what would have been a full-time job for someone chasing info from clients. But 4 hours is still a bit of a roadblock, right? Like,
Right.
obviously that's kind of not everyone's going to get that result, but sometimes it might take longer to set up to, depending on what processes you're doing. But the thing is, it's spending time now to save time later.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't have that time now. That's kind of the
Right.
problem. It's just such a catch-22. I've been there in my business. I remember I have such a crap memory for most things, but I have the very vivid memory of this time I was at a friend's house. I got invited over on like a Thursday because I had a friend in town and he wanted to play board games at my friend's house. This is before we had kids and responsibilities and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like, that's the reason I got into business, is be able to do stuff like this on a whim. And I spent the whole day just checking emails and whatever. Like, I was just stressed, being like, oh, I'm not working, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. So for me, it was actually a bit of a breaking point where I just went, you know what, screw this. Like, I'm just going to delay some of this client stuff and get some of my systems sorted because this is way more important. That's hard to do. It's very hard to do. For me, it was a really big sort of mental switching moment that triggered it. But
Mhm.
yeah, it just needs to be done sometimes.
I think that's a pretty common flow so I think like the battle for agency owners is there's always another priority that should be in place.
Mm.
And it's once there's a pain that kind of creates enough like activation energy, it's like, okay, I have to solve for
Mm.
this now. Like, I can't deal with it anymore. Because like I see it a lot with agency marketing. Like, very few agencies do their own marketing. They're so busy doing marketing for their clients that like
Yes.
they don't handle it in-house until they have no leads coming in, because they were
Yeah.
leaning on referrals, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, like, right, we have no business. And then it becomes an issue and they go look for a coach or someone else to come help, and it's a thing. But it's like, if you can kind of pinpoint those problems now and know, like, I do need to kind of dedicate some time every week to working on the things that'll
Well, yeah,
become a problem later.
we can solve this now without a coach.
Right.
Daily theming, man. Like, that's the thing that
Yeah.
fixed it for me, is like, I would dedicate each day to a certain thing. Like, Monday was content production, Tuesday was like content promotion, Wednesday was like relationships and meetings, whatever. You bring up these things. So Thursday was my process and automation day. Friday was like research and learning day. But that's not the whole day, right? So for me, it was always morning for that deep work type stuff. It could be like 3 hours or 4 hours, whatever. And then afternoon's client work. So every day you've still got your client work time, your email time, whatever. Like that's how you. And look, it doesn't have to be as insane as that. You could have like Thursday mornings as your process time. Everything else is client work. I don't know. Like, start there.
Right.
Yeah, like theming days is such a game changer for me.
Yeah, I can see that in super value. Even right now, I have what I call buffer days and then my
Mm-hmm.
like active work days. And the buffer days are just Monday and Friday. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, so I can
Perfect.
prep everything for the week and I can close out everything for the week. And like I fill my calendar with meetings and everything in between. But it means I have a day that if the process is the most important thing to work on, it's like I can go knock that out. And so yeah,
Yeah.
I can back up that method. I think a lot of agencies would just getting some control over their calendar would probably be a game changer for them.
Or yeah, you can start there, literally in the calendar, draw a big box over half a day and go, this is my process time. No one
Yeah,
can book
leave me
in the
alone.
call. Like, yes.
Right. How big was your agency? Was
Oh,
your
not
team
big.
team
So
size?
I think we had, God, at peak, it was probably like 6 or 7 of us.
Mhm.
Pretty much all on web design. So we started with doing everything, like the classic, we do AdWords and SEO, and because like SEO was my game previously. Then the reason we did websites is because people were like, oh, like you're in tech, can you build websites? Like, oh, okay, sure. By the end of it, we actually stripped everything away and became sort of the development partner for a lot of other agencies and added in software development, like app sort of stuff as well. So we did a lot of UX, apps and software, and just back-end web design so for marketing agencies. Because I was
Right.
just like, we kind of ended up in that. And it was just like, I didn't like going out and getting clients and stuff. So, we're such a good model when you've got these like
Yeah.
partners that just feed you work and you don't have to go out and get
Right.
stuff. Obviously,
Yeah.
profit margins change in that equation, but yeah, it's pros and cons.
Right. But at 6 or 7 team members, like you were probably still heavily involved in the
Oh
day to
yeah.
day. And so the fact that you were able to still block out part of your calendar to get stuff done and manage a team, do all the client stuff, it's like more credence to the
Well,
idea that agency owners can do it if you.
yeah. Yeah. Look, I mean, if you've got someone, doing development or design, like some of those are like the core elements, right? That are super time consuming stuff. If you can get rid of that and have an assistant, and those can be done, if someone's really new listening to this, it's like those can be done fairly cheaply. Dev's the harder one, but it's not too hard to get those really time sucking things off your plate so you can work on that like important stuff.
Right. Yeah. I think it's the getting that activation energy to say, this is what I got to do. But
Yeah, well, you'll get a breaking point one day if you
yeah,
don't have it already,
eventually.
and you sit on it forever. You're going to hit it, and it's not nice.
Right, yeah. Well, and you could probably just take one of those things that's keeping you up at night and you're staring at the ceiling, right? Wondering, like, am I making the right choice with my life? It's like, oh, I should probably just go address that. But
Yeah.
so I guess if you had to give like that one piece of advice, like the 80/20 for figuring all of this out with as far as getting information back from your clients, like what is the one thing that an agency should start doing to get a majority of the results? I guess become a Content Snare client could be it's like number one, right?
It
Like,
depends where you are in the
yeah.
process. I mean, it is like, sometimes it is literally just like have a process. Because there's so many people who just like, give me all your content or give me your stuff or just like a basic checklist. So um, that's what I'd say is like just start by actually putting something in place, like and explaining each thing you need from clients really well, like detailing out what information you need, right? And how they should provide it to you and what are some examples of what you're expecting to come back, like in guiding them through. So the overarching thing, what they should do right now is put a system in place. The main thing they should think about is putting themselves in their client's shoes and just making it like, it's not a nice way to say it, but like dumbing it down, right? It is
Yeah.
just, it really is.
Yeah, make it simple. But so I guess would you recommend making this part of the client onboarding process to walk them through how we're going to be collecting information?
Oh yeah. So setting expectations is huge, right? That's like a whole topic in itself. It's like, how do you, sometimes there's a lot of things you can do with that. It's like, even in the very first email, it's like we use XYZ system for getting content or whatever. Sorry, more importantly is like the thing I'd always say is like every single project we have, gets delayed is because of content. And so when we ask for these things, you need to give it to us. We will give you a date, and if you miss that date, here's what's going to happen.
Right.
And for us, that was actually in our contract. We'd say if you miss it by, like, if you miss the deadline, some people do like penalizing things. Like, we're going to fine you $100 a day. It's like, that seems like, nah, not into that.
Yeah.
The one that always worked for us was like, your project will go on hold and it'll go to the queue, back to the queue. And at that point, there's no guarantee when we can start it again. So these are the deadlines, and like this is the timeline in the proposal. All of that's gone if you don't hit those deadlines, because it just goes back to the back of the queue. That could be 2 websites or campaigns, 2 things, whatever. It could be 20. It just depends how busy we are at the time. It goes back of the queue, and then we'll get to it once we've got your content again. So that was pretty effective, I found. Yeah. So, and like, just this needs to be communicated early and often that 1, you're going to need it. Otherwise the project's going to be delayed. And 2, how you're actually going to get it from them.
Right. Just to, I guess, add another technique someone could use. So we kind of did the same thing where, hey, we have a deadline. We presented it this day. We need, feedback or any other information by this day. For every day they miss it, we're allowed to push back the deadline for, the overall project another day and stuff. And we kind of show them how that works. But there's a point where, like, right now we have budgeted our capacity to be, prioritizing your account. If we have to push this too late, it does mean you're not the priority anymore. Yeah. And so just talking to them about that, put that worry in the back of their head. And we never really had an issue with getting all that.
It's similar. But I think there's obviously more consequence to go back to the back of the line. But the only issue I see with just pushing it by a day is exactly what you said. You've budgeted your resources, and it's like everything. Now you've got to switch everyone to a new thing. And the client's going to have the expectation that when they do get you that content, now you're going to resource everything back to them. I don't like personally. I just like that seems kind of difficult, like as a business to manage. If you've got
what's worse, people. Like imagine you don't have another project right now, and so now your team is sitting there just like, well, what do we do? Right? It's like, good, I'm paying you guys for nothing. Like our utilization is going to plummet. There's
a solution to that like I never fully, like, it depends what your business goals are, is having like an internal project. I've seen a lot of agencies do that, like especially software development companies where they've got like a SaaS product they build, and it's like client work. And then when it's like, if there's not enough, like we'll go and work on their like little internal project, so it might be like a new website you want to build, or like some cool like directory idea or whatever, like some other thing that everyone can kick back over to when there's no work. But you've got to obviously have that idea. And
even just going through, like, doing internal marketing, like going through your pages. What can we make better? What can we tighten up?
Yeah,
it's like there's always something to. I guess it goes back. Hey, we actually do have time. What do we need to fix now? Right? Let's go work on these processes so this doesn't happen again. So I guess from you, what's next for Content Snare? What's on the agenda? Oh
man, it's funny. Like I have no big plans. It's at this point, it's kind of just like one step in front of the other, trying to improve the product. I make that sound like it's a rat wheel, but it isn't. Like, we're building cool new features, but the next main thing we're building is a sort of client portal where you can share information back with clients. Because right now we're very much about getting info from clients. Right. A big thing we get asked about all the time is giving someone a place for them to go to get all that like deliverables, whether it's in this case like designs or might be past invoices or whatever. Like it's really just a repository of stuff for clients, and it's all in one spot. So there's a lot of cool stuff like that coming. I'm really planning on going hard on content this year, doing the whole founder brand thing, which it's funny, like I did before. In the agency space, I had like the podcast, the Facebook group, the newsletter, all that, and we kind of wound that down as our product started getting used by lots and lots of different industries, like accountants and lawyers and stuff. And I'm like, how do I have a podcast for professional services? Like, I don't know this industry at all, so I kind of felt a little bit imposter syndrome, So, but I've worked out some like topics I feel like smart enough to talk about, I guess. And so I'll be talking a lot about doing that kind of stuff this year. That's the big thing, is like the classic founder brands. It seems to be making a big resurgence on LinkedIn at the moment. But yeah, otherwise it's just building the product. It's feature prioritization is it's not like a fun. I mean, the outcome is fun, but it's like, it's really just a process. It's like, what have people asked for? What do we think they need? How hard is each one of these features going to be to build? And then what impact is it going to have on our clients? And then scoring on all of those things, and then sorting by score, and then gut feeling it a little bit, and then building those things, like that. That's kind of how we roll.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. I got two more for you, with the first being, what book do you recommend every agency owner should read?
One, this book's pretty old, and so I'm just hoping it's still relevant. I looked at a few comments, and I remember it being pretty timeless, right? But I read it in my agency, right in the middle of my agency stuff, and I remember thinking, like, this is awesome. This is one of the best books I've read, but it's been probably a decade since I read it. But it's Jay Abraham, who's a legend in like the I guess advertising space, getting everything you can out of all you've got. I had to look it up because I forget the name of it all the time. It's a stupid long name, but it was published in 2001, so it is pretty old. But like, a lot of it was just like realizing you've got all this opportunity in the work you've already done, essentially. Hence the name, right? And I think that's really good, because you don't have to go and like create a whole new thing all the time to get new customers or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. That's that one always sticks out when people go, "What's your favorite book you've ever read?" Even though it was a very long time ago and I can barely remember what's in it, I just remember it was impactful. I took a lot of notes, and especially in the agency days.
Yeah, awesome. Last question: where can people find you?
I guess LinkedIn is probably the best. If you go James Rose, probably add Content Snare on the end, because I've got like one of the most common names in the world, apparently. Yeah, that's the best. Or contentsnare.com to check out the product, obviously. Yeah, they're the best spots.
Awesome. All right, James, thanks for joining.
Thanks heaps, Chris. This was cool.
That's the show, everyone. You can leave a rating and review, or you can do something that benefits you. Click the link in the show notes to subscribe to Agency Forward on Substack. You'll get weekly content, resources, and links from around the internet to help you drive your agency forward.